Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us for our webinar today on affordable U.S. education. Today, we have Dimitri Satsuk from Manhattan College, Stacy Aquaro from Stony Brook University, Benjamin Dobbs from New York Institute of Technology, or NYIT, and Maria Kopnitsky from SUNY Oswego. They're going to take us through a conversation about scholarships and affordable education at U.S. institutions in New York. And a couple of quick announcements. The microphones are going to be muted throughout the presentation to prevent us from talking over one another. The question and answer feature at the bottom of your screen, or if you're on the app, tap the screen to find, is open. So please post your questions as we go, and we will be leaving some time for questions at the end. Also, this presentation is being recorded and will be available on YouTube after the presentation has concluded. So thanks again for joining and for your patience while we got started. And guys, take it away.
Thank you so much. Welcome to everybody. Good morning, afternoon, evening from wherever you are joining us today. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to learn a little bit about how to finance your studies in the United States. As sort of introduced quickly before, my name is Stacy. I am an international admissions advisor from Stony Brook University. I'm going to quickly allow my colleagues to introduce themselves as well.
Hello, my name is Dimitri Satsuk. I'm Director of International Admissions at Manhattan College.
Hi, my name is Maria Kopnitsky. I'm the International Enrollment Manager at the State University of New York at Oswego.
Hello, everyone. My name is Benjamin Dobbs. I'm the Associate Director of International Admissions at New York Institute of Technology.
And so today we are just going to really talk to you about how to finance your education while you are studying in the U.S. by going over a couple of common terms with you. There are common terms to us, but they're probably all new to you and your families and your parents. The different types of financing, it's not just all scholarships or all financial aid. There's a lot of different types of financing. CPT and OPT, which you may have heard of, and different other work opportunities and assistantship opportunities. And then we're going to spend a few moments doing a campus overview of each of our campuses, as well as some Q&A for opportunities. You can feel free to ask questions as we're going through. If we don't get to them while we're presenting, we will certainly get to them at the end. But so you don't forget, you can chat or do them. Financial aid terms that you are going to hear and that you are going to be explained to more in a moment by my colleague will be things like a merit award versus what need-based aid, financial aid is versus what might be known as need blind or need sensitive. Terms like EFC, applications like the FAFSA and CSS profile. What words are like cost of attendance or the net price calculator? And I promise we're going to get into these. We're just giving you terminology of what kind of different words you're going to hear. A financial aid package. And then again, as I mentioned, on-campus student employment, things like OPT, CPT, and graduate assistantships. But for some more detailed information, I'm going to pass it over to my colleague, Ben.
All right, thank you very much. So yeah, there's definitely a lot of terms to think about when it comes to financial aid, but some of the, when it comes to the types of financial aid, there's definitely a lot of opportunities out there when you're thinking about how are you going to pay for your education in the United States. And the first types of aid that you're going to look to would probably most likely be grants and scholarships. So for international students, there are different types of scholarships. You have merit-based aid, you do have grants, you have need-based aid, but different types. But with the first two is with scholarships, you're going to have merit-based aid, which is typically going to be based on your GPA, your test scores, SAT or ACT, or maybe even your TOEFL score or other components of your application. So we're going to be looking at your scholastic background to see if you're going to, if admitted, if you'll be eligible for any types of merit-based scholarships. And those are going to range at different amounts depending on the institution that you decide to apply to. And then there are grants that might be, international students might be eligible for as well, that you could be, that you can apply for as well. Grants are both merit-based aid and grants are going to be scholarships that are offered to you. You don't have to pay back. They are and they're not loans or anything of that nature that you can use to help pay for education. And grants might be awarded, you apply for those, and those might be awarded based on, again, academic merit as well. So usually you apply for those during the application process, and there are different types of grants depending on the institution you're applying to. It might be academic grants, or they might be grants based on where the country you're going from. It depends on the type of institution and what their scholarship models are. Second type of financing is going to be campus employment. International students are eligible to work on campus part-time. Whether you're an undergraduate student or a graduate student, you can work, if you're going to be studying on an F1 visa, which most international students do, you are allowed to work up to 20 hours a week maximum on campus, and you do have to wait one academic semester before you can pursue those on-campus student jobs. But there are different types of student jobs students can pursue. They can work in pretty much every department. Usually you go through the university's Office of Career Services, or maybe directly through a particular department on campus to see if they have any student opportunities for part-time work, and you apply for those directly. And again, it is a maximum of 20 hours a week, but that is a way to get additional funding. Maybe a lot of students use that to pay for food or books or things like that, on top of any additional maybe merit aid or grants that maybe they've received from a university as well. So that's a lot of students take that opportunity. But keep in mind, with student employment on campus, that not only are international students vying for those positions, but also domestic U.S. students as well. So the earlier you apply, the better chances you have maybe securing a on-campus student employment opportunity. The other option is our loans, which, a lot of students, is kind of a term no one really likes to think about, but sometimes we do have to take out loans. For international students, loans are a little bit different because you're not eligible for any federal or state loans, because you have to fill out the FAFSA, which is only for U.S. citizens and permanent residents. But there are private loans that international students can take out if they are needing additional funding, and maybe grants and scholarships aren't covering the full cost. So a lot of times those are going to be private scholarships that students will have to look into on their own, but universities do often provide resources where internationals can look into opportunities for external loans. And the other aspect is when it comes to financial aid and cost is calculating the cost of how much it's actually going to be to attend a university in the United States. And there's the two types of institutions you're going to see in the United States are going to be either private or public. And so tuition is going to vary at every different institution. So it's important to look at their website to see what their total cost is. You're going to have two types of cost when it comes to paying for your education in the U.S., and that's going to be direct and indirect cost. Your direct costs are going to be things like your tuition, room and board, meal plans, any direct cost, registration fees, anything like that that's going directly to the university are going to be considered direct cost. Then you're going to have indirect cost, which are fees that aren't directly going to go to the university. Those are going to be things like transportation, books, maybe health insurance, if you live off campus, food, anything like that maybe you accrue additionally. That's going to be indirect costs. So those are things you need to consider as well when it comes to figuring out how much it's going to cost to attend an institution in the United States, and how much you're going to, what type of institution you might want to attend, and how much you can afford, and how much aid you're going to need. So you need to make sure to be very careful and specific, and when you look at these institutional websites, to see what their total costs are. Next slide, please. Thank you. So the various types of aid that's available to students. So you're going to have, as mentioned, you're going to have merit scholarships, which are going to be based on your academic need. Excuse me, you're going to be based on, not academic need, apologies. It's going to be based on your scholastic achievement and maybe your high school background. So we're going to be looking based on your test scores, your GPA. We might, specific institutions might look at your outside extracurricular activities. So it really depends on the institution, but predominantly what they look at predominantly is going to be your GPA and your overall test scores. There are need-based scholarships, but predominantly those are going to be for need-based scholarships. You need to fill out the FAFSA for that, which again, the FAFSA is only students that are eligible for that are going to be U.S. citizens or permanent residents to submit the FAFSA. So for need-based scholarships, it's a little bit harder for international students to obtain those. There are country-based scholarships, which means institutions might develop and target scholarships for students that come from developing nations. So those you can look into institutions when it comes to their scholarship opportunities to see if they have any forms of scholarship based in that form, as well as that can also mean country-based scholarships, and maybe looking in your home country to see if any government-funded scholarships, which leads to my next point, to see if there are any availabilities there. With government-funded opportunities, that is twofold. That means there are government-sponsored scholarships by the U.S. government that students can apply for. For graduate students, you have the Fulbright program that you can apply for, and so that's an option. And then we always recommend to international students to look into their home countries to see if there are any government-sponsored scholarships that students can apply for, such as, for example, you have in Saudi Arabia, you have the SACM scholarship for international students from that country. So, and we see a lot of students from other countries, Ghana, Nigeria, from every continent of the world, depending on their government situation, that they have those opportunities as well. So we always encourage students to look into those opportunities to see if that option is there for that type of funding. You do have privately funded scholarships, which tend to be scholarships that may be by outside organization or companies. For example, in the United States, you have what's called the Coca-Cola Scholarship, which we've all heard of, the Coca-Cola company, as well as international organizations, companies that might have those privately funded scholarships that students can apply for as well. And again, and institutions have privately funded scholarships that you can look into as well. That again, this is going to be a separate application process that you will have to apply for to see how much you might qualify for if given that scholarship. And one key aspect of privately funded scholarships is to look at the key points to see how long is the scholarship going to be awarded. You want to see if you're eligible for all 4 years or if it's only for 1 semester or 1 year. And same with merit scholarships, not to backtrack, but most of the time merit-based scholarships from institutions will be renewable for all your entire time at the institution if you meet certain requirements, but you want to make sure to read the fine print on that. There are such things as diversity scholarships for different aspects, maybe for students that from minority students or from students from again for a different part of the world. There are options for that type of scholarship as well. And then another big aspect for that's really appealing to a lot of students are the athletic scholarships. So students that maybe are looking to play a participant in an NCAA sanctioned sport in which there are Division I, II, and III in the United States, you could potentially be awarded an athletic scholarship on top of a merit-based scholarship, depending on the institution. So that's usually typically only see that for Division I and II, but again, there are options for additional funding through that way as well. We see a lot of international students that come to the United States to participate in different levels of sports, so that's another way to potentially get funding. And then finally, and then you also have talent scholarships, and then finally departmental scholarships, which again are going to be based on academic departments. So maybe if you're a physics major or you're a nursing or engineering major, a particular institution you apply to might have a departmental scholarship in those areas that you can apply for additional funding as well. So with all these types of financial aid, you can see there are many different ways you can look into potentially paying for education. And obviously, we all know that education in the United States can be pretty expensive coming from overseas, especially depending on the type of institution you go to. But we always encourage students to, of course, look into merit-based scholarship opportunities, but look into these other types of options as well to see what additional funding you can potentially look into. And later in the presentation, we'll talk about some external resources you can look into as well. Next slide. So when it comes to, I talked about this earlier, but the main thing a lot of students want to know is what is the difference between merit and need-based aid. Merit-based aid, as I mentioned, is going to be based on your academics and your application profile. We're going to be looking at your test scores, we're going to look at your GPA, we're going to be looking at your extracurricular activities. All of that will be going into consideration when it comes to merit-based aid. And again, it's all, as I mentioned earlier, is automatic renewal, assuming that you have strong grades and you maintain the minimum requirements for that. So that's going to depend on the specific institution that you apply to and are admitted to and potentially get a merit-based scholarship from. And then also, as I mentioned earlier, there is need-based aid. For international students, a lot of times you're not going to be eligible for need-based aid because you have to submit the FAFSA, which is the free application for federal student aid, and that's limited to U.S. citizens or permanent residents. So if we do have any students that are on this call that maybe are living internationally but are U.S. citizens or permanent residents, you are eligible for need-based aid. And need-based aid is going to be based on your EFC, which is your estimated family contribution. And so let's say if your family is going to contribute $50,000 a year, then your financial aid package from your FAFSA will be built based on that number. And you do have to apply for renewal every year or annually. So you do have to submit, if you are eligible to submit a FAFSA, you have to submit that every year while you're in school to be able to get a need-based financial aid package each year. Okay, next slide.
So there are many forms that students may have to complete, again, depending on the institution and how they handle the different various types of aids. So we spent a lot of time talking about a couple of different aids, but in particular, merit aid versus need-based aid. And there are institutions that will have both sets of need-based and merit-based and will require different forms for perhaps some of those types of aid. For merit-based scholarship, most of the time it is based on just your application to study in the US, but sometimes additional forms will be required. In particular for need-based aid at institutions that offer need-based aid for international students, there are forms like the International Student Financial Aid Application, which is similar to for US students, the FAFSA application. And then the CSS profile, which tends to be more popular for need-based aid for international students at most institutions. You might be required at time of application to submit what's known as a COF or certification of finances. Each institution, again, will be different in terms of how they will require your certificate of finance, which will be needed for your application for your student visa. So some institutions may require your proof of finances at your time of application to be considered with your application materials as they're making a decision, while others may not. So I think the key takeaway when looking at not just your application materials, but also your financial materials is to certainly contact each of the schools that you are interested in applying to and making sure you have all of the required forms necessary for both admissions as well as for any kind of finances. Besides our wonderful group and Study New York as being tremendous resources to you, as well as all of the admissions counselors and offices to you, there's a number of international resources to help you out in financing your education. For one, an organization called IIE, or Institute of International Education. They offer research to have scholarships by programs, by educational level, as well as by country. So we would highly recommend checking them out. Your Education USA office. There are several Education USA offices throughout the world, throughout your country. There could be several just within your country. They are a tremendous resource to students in the application process, as well as the pre-departure process when you're getting ready to come to the US, as well as helping you find funding options. There are several institutions that are part of a national campaign here in the US called #YouAreWelcomeHere, which offers a scholarship for up to 50% off tuition each year. Typically schools, you would have to have a separate application for this scholarship, but it is a scholarship devoted to international students and the welcoming to the US and onto campus for that. NAFSA is an international organization in which admissions counselors, study abroad counselors, and the international education community is part of. They will also have tremendous resources for scholarships and private student loan options. And then other scholarship search websites would be the College Board, which is like your SAT website, but they have other resources, internationalstudent.com and studyusa.com. And I'm going to pass it off to my colleague, Maria.
Great. Thank you so much, Stacy. So what I want to talk about today so my colleagues Ben and Stacy have gone over the types of scholarships that you could potentially be awarded in order to fund or help fund your education in the United States. What I want to talk about is to focus on how studying in the United States can be less expensive once you actually arrive. So what are the ways that you can gain some sort of income while you're in the United States, either during your degree program or after you have graduated? So that's where OPT and CPT come in. So CPT is curricular practical training. CPT is what we would normally call any sort of internship or practicum experience, maybe a cooperative program, which are usually paid internship programs. You don't have to be paid in order to participate in an internship for it to qualify as curricular practical training. But this also depends on your own university's policies. So I want to go over both of these options, CPT and OPT. CPT, as I said, is internships, typically prior to graduation. OPT is optional practical training, and this occurs after graduation. So why work in the United States? There are many different reasons for that. One, the most important reason is to put into practice the things that you have already learned during your degree program. That is the purpose of curricular or optional practical training, in that you are training to develop your skills in the curriculum that you have studied at your university. So while you are studying, how do you gain professional experience? Or after you graduate, how do you build your resume or network or have a job opportunity that could be pretty substantial for a substantial period of time? All of these things occur through practical training opportunities. So I want to go through and just specifically talk about CPT and OPT. Now, CPT, as I mentioned, typically internships. In order for students to apply for an internship, for international students, no, they have to understand the requirements for authorization under CPT. These include the following. The experience must be curricular. So typically that means that it has to count for academic credit or in some way be tied to a course. It has to be deemed integral. Some people suggest that this means required. It has to be an integral part of your established curriculum. What this means is that if you are, let's say, a chemistry major, you can't do an internship as a barista or someone making coffee at Starbucks. The two don't make sense together, right? You have to be working in an internship that actually relates to your curriculum. Your academic advisor typically has to sign off that this is an integral part of your studies and that yes, it is related to your curriculum. Next, it has to be a program, an internship or cooperative or practicum program that is authorized on your Form I-20. So we haven't talked about I-20s in this presentation, but for anyone who is thinking of studying in the United States, and I'm assuming that you all are because you're here today, if you're interested in studying in the United States and you are an international student, the International Student Services Office of the university that you are interested in attending, upon your acceptance to the university and completion of certain forms and submission of certain evidence, they will submit to you what is called a Form I-20, which allows you to apply for a student visa. This document becomes your record, your own personal record of any practical training experiences, changes in your major, changes in your program, travel while you are studying at that particular university. So CPT, or curricular practical training, must be first authorized by someone in your International Student Services Department prior to you participating in that experience. Permission for CPT varies by university and even by some majors within one university. For some universities, students who are in, let's say, a human development program have to participate in an internship. It is required. It is very clearly integral. But maybe students in English majors don't have to participate in an internship, and therefore they wouldn't be able to participate in CPT. So check in doubt, if you are in doubt, check with the International Students Office at your home university, and consider this when you are applying to universities now. What is your policy regarding internships? What is your policy regarding CPT? These are things that you should be asking the people that you are speaking with about the university that you will attend. Now, last point about CPT. CPT, or curricular practical training, does count in a student's OPT time. What does that mean? That means that if you arrive at 365 days of curricular practical training, you have participated in an internship or a series of internships for 365 days, you are automatically ineligible to apply for optional practical training. So keep this in mind as you are pursuing internships. By the way, you can only start participating in internships, again, this depends on the university, within it, as long as you have been at that university or within F1 student status for 2 semesters. So some universities will say, okay, you've been here a year, you can start applying for internships now, that's great. Others will say, you know what, we want you to wait until your 3rd year or even your 4th year to start applying to internships. Ask about these policies during your college search. Now, I want to talk about optional practical training. What is optional practical training? It is a permission for full-time work for a limited period of time for students who are on an F1 visa. Which means after you graduate, so typically students will apply for this 90 days prior to their graduation date, you are applying for, when you apply for OPT, for the permission to work. So it's not tied to a certain employer. It just gives you the ability to search for a job in the United States. Now, I have many students ask me, when they are looking into OPT and they're trying to find a future employer, and they say, my employer is asking, do I need sponsorship? And the answer is no. You are still, while you are participating in optional practical training, you are still on an F1 visa that is tied to your university. So there is no sponsorship required. In addition to this, we have here a STEM extension component of optional practical training. So optional practical training typically allows you to work for 1 year maximum after graduation. The exception to that are those students who are in programs or major fields of study that pertain to science, technology, engineering, or mathematics. There is a list provided by the Department of Homeland Security which tells you if your intended major counts for a STEM extension. Those STEM, science, technology, engineering, math, students can stay for 3 years instead of just 1 on OPT. This gives employers more incentive to hire you, and it also gives you kind of more experience in your particular field while in the United States. So while you are in the university search process, ask the people at your prospective universities if your intended major counts as STEM, because you want to know now if you will be able to work in the United States for 3 years after graduation. The last point I will make here about these 2 concepts, OPT and CPT, is that CPT, so internships, practicum, cooperative programs, trainings during your graduation, or I'm sorry, during your degree program, typically lead or can lead to optional practical training, post-graduation work authorization. What do I mean by this? I mean that students who are participating in internships, they're being proactive about finding work while they are authorized work, obviously, work under CPT while they are still a student, have more resources in terms of networking, professional capabilities, credibility, and purely experience in their fields of study. This makes employers want to hire you when you are looking for jobs after graduation. It's an incentive because you already have some experience. So make sure when you are considering your university that you will attend, ask what their policies about CPT and OPT are, okay? And then I will hand it over to Dimitri. Thank you.
So on-campus employment is another great opportunity to support yourself financially while attending a university or college in the United States. All international students are eligible to work on campus while attending classes, and the work does not need to be related to your field of study for on-campus employment. So even if you are studying engineering, a program in engineering, you can work at a local library, for example. But you have to maintain legal F1 status while engaging in on-campus employment. So there are several benefits from on-campus employment. Obviously, you can earn extra money. However, I usually advise international students that most probably the money that you'll be making from on-campus employment will not help you to pay for tuition, but it would be a great addition to pay for your personal expenses like food, clothes, transportation, books, etc., etc. So you also will meet new people, develop communication skills and various other skills, learn to manage your time and juggle many projects at once, and also you'll get to know your school better, your university or college better. So on-campus employment includes work done as a teaching or research assistant, as well as jobs in college or university library, dorm, dining facilities. As I mentioned, again, it's only part-time employment. So international students are allowed to work up to 20 hours per week while school is in session, and they can switch to full status, full-time on-campus employment during official university holidays and vacation. So different schools have various ways to apply for on-campus employment. For example, at Manhattan College, students are advised to go to our financial aid website in order to apply for employment. At other schools, you may want to check student career department website. I usually advise students, international students, to be persistent, never give up. I don't know an international student at Manhattan College who wanted to have a part-time job and couldn't obtain one. However, it takes time to get a job on campus because, as Ben mentioned before, you will be considered among other students for the same position, domestic students, for example. And so be persistent. Visit university or college website that offers employment literally on a daily basis and check for new openings. Make sure that you submit application for on-campus employment. And also don't forget that international students, once they have a written job offer, they have to apply for a social security number. You will not be able to start on-campus employment without a social security number. And this may take a couple of weeks, if not months. I had some cases when international students had to wait 3 months before they can start on-campus job because they couldn't get a social security number. So again, be patient but persistent. Work with your international student services office They have to authorize your on-campus employment. Again, use various resources on campus that offer jobs to international students. So resident assistant is just one of many jobs an international student may have on campus, commonly shortened to RA. So basically, it's a student who coordinates life and various activities in residence halls. So as far as I know, at Manhattan College, freshman students are not allowed to apply for this position. You have to spend at least 1 year on campus before you can apply for an RA position. But if you can get it during your sophomore, junior, or even senior year, usually schools waive your housing charges. So if you're an RA, you don't have to pay housing fees. For graduate students, a great opportunity to sponsor their studies at various schools is graduate assistant. So all international students who have completed bachelor's degree and are accepted to a graduate program and are registered as full-time graduate students are eligible for graduate assistantships. Graduate assistantships, or GA, are another excellent way to obtain funding for graduate education. And universities provide these positions to qualified graduate students on a competitive basis. So GA may teach, conduct research, or have other responsibilities that contribute to students' professional development. GAs are typically awarded through a specific graduate program and or department. The number of GA positions that are available in a given college or department are usually based on funding from the university, as well as grants awarded to individual faculty or department. So please, if you're a graduate student, please ask your graduate program director if they have graduate assistantships positions opened. And they will also tell you how to apply for this position and requirements and procedures to get this position.
So now we're going to move into the portion where we're just going to talk for a few moments about each of our institutions. Again, my name is Stacy. I'm from Stony Brook University. Stony Brook University is a large comprehensive research university. We are located in Stony Brook, New York, which is about 1 hour east of New York City. As you can see from the picture here, we have a train station on campus that will take you into New York. We're about 2 miles from our North Shore beaches. We are on what's known as Long Island, which is exactly what it sounds, a Long Island off of New York City, and about the middle of the island. We are a larger university with over 26,000 students on campus, over 4,400 international students on campus, with over 2,500 undergraduate international students on campus from over 100 countries. We offer over 200 academic majors and programs, including some of our more popular programs in the arts and sciences, like your anthropology, your globalization and international studies, psychology, our more natural sciences, your physics, your biology, your chemistry, your biochemistry, your mathematics. Our College of Engineering and Applied Sciences is probably our most popular and competitive programs, including computer science, civil engineering, biomedical engineering, computer engineering, electrical engineering, mechanical engineering, chemical and molecular engineering. The College of Business will have programs in things like accounting and marketing and management and finance. Our School of Journalism will have programs that reach all of the media facets, including multimedia, print, social media. And then our School of Marine and Atmospheric Sciences and programs such as marine biology, sustainability studies, environmental design. So if you have interests in things along the lines of coastal water changes, climate control changes. Students who are interested in applying can apply through the coalition application, the common application, or we are a public university, which you will also hear from another public university. We're part of the SUNY system, which is SUNY. So there's also a SUNY application, which you can apply to both of our schools from as well. We don't have a preference in terms of the application. I can certainly go into more details about Stony Brook in the Q&A, but I am going to pass it off.
Thanks. So again, I'm Benjamin Dobbs from the New York Institute of Technology. We are a private research university located in, we have two campuses. We have our New York City campus, which is actually located in Midtown Manhattan, right by Columbus Circle. On the left, you can see the picture of Columbus Circle. We're actually right by the southwest corner of Central Park. And then we have our Long Island campus, just like Stony Brook, out in Old Westbury, New York, about 45 minutes east of the city, which is more of our traditional suburban campus. And we have, same as Stony Brook, we have Long Island Railroad and train station that goes right by campus. So it's easily accessible to get to and from the city. So the great thing about New York Tech is the fact that we do have that two campus environment. So if you're looking for more of the metropolitan campus experience in the heart of the city, you can look at our New York City campus. And if you're looking for the more traditional suburban campus experience, you can look into our Long Island campus in Old Westbury. We're about 10,000 students total, with 5,000 undergraduates and 5,000 graduate students. We do have 6 different colleges and schools: architecture and design, arts and sciences, engineering and computing sciences, health professions, management, and our School of Medicine. We do have about 90 different programs for students to choose. Some of our more popular and top choice programs tend to be computer science, electrical engineering, architecture, business administration, graphic design, digital arts, nursing, and mechanical engineering as well. But we do have a wide range of degrees. Even though we are more of a STEM-oriented research university, we do have, arts and sciences programs. If you're looking to study English literature, political science, or government, or anything like that, we have those particular degrees as well. So it's definitely a great, more of a hands-on institution and more of an application-focused curriculum when it comes to our campus and our curriculum. So if you're looking, it's theoretical as well, but if you're looking for more of a hands-on application-focused academic experience in a vibrant city like New York, it's definitely a great institution to look into. Next slide, please. So some facts about New York Tech. As I mentioned, we have about 10,000 students total. About 1,500 of our students are international, coming from 90 different countries. Some of our top markets are China, India, Saudi Arabia, France, Pakistan, Nigeria, and Turkey. But we see students coming from all over the world. Students coming from all across the country, about 40 different states. We have about 11-to-1 student to faculty ratio. So even though we're about 10,000 students total, but it's definitely more of a smaller campus environment. Again, about 5,000 undergraduates. So it's very much a more engaging academic experience in the classroom. The average class size about 15 to 25 students, depending on the course. It's about 43 to 57% female to male ratio on campus. Tuition for us is about $38,000 per year. As I mentioned, we are a private university. So with housing, tuition, housing, everything together, it's about $55,000 to $60,000. We do have merit-based scholarships available for international students to qualify for those. And as you can see some of our rankings, top #1 most diverse student body by USA Today, 34th on regional universities in ranking from US News and World Report, and many other facets. So it's definitely a diverse student body, as I mentioned, on campus, and in a very diverse city. So even though there's a lot of opportunities on campus, so for academic experience, and especially being in New York City, if you're looking what better place to gain CPT or OPT experience than New York City, which is going to be the hub for every professional industry in the world. So it's definitely a great institution if you're looking for a more hands-on application focused experience in a very vibrant city. So I will now turn it over to Dimitri.
Hello again, and yes, I represent Manhattan College, small private school located in New York City. We're located in a beautiful neighborhood called Riverdale in the northern part of the New York City. There is a subway stop right next to our campus, and it's very easy to get from our campus to Manhattan, Midtown Manhattan. It takes about 30-35 minutes by train. So our students can enjoy everything that New York City has to offer. We have our own campus in Riverdale, small but very cozy. We offer housing to all of our undergraduate and graduate students. For international students, housing is guaranteed for all 4 years of undergraduate or 2 years of a graduate degree. Next slide, please. Thank you. So we are a small school. Total enrollment is below 4,000, approximately 3,400 undergraduate and 500 graduate students. Small enrollment means small classes. Our average class size, 23 students in a classroom. Student to faculty ratio is 12:1. We offer more than 50 programs in variety of fields. Most popular programs are in business and engineering. We also have exciting programs in liberal arts and science. More than 75% of our freshman students live on campus. Manhattan College is NCAA Division I schools, which contributes to a very vibrant campus life. Students can attend Division I basketball, volleyball, soccer, track and field, swimming competitions. And we have more than 100 clubs and organizations on campus. We're ranked as number 13 regionally in the northern part of the United States. And we also offer a variety of generous merit-based scholarships to international students. Thank you.
Hi there. Again, as a refresher, my name is Maria Kopnitsky, and I represent the State University of New York, or SUNY, at Oswego. SUNY has 64 different college campuses. You heard from my colleague Stacy, who represents Stony Brook, which is a very large comprehensive university in Long Island. Oswego is another one of these SUNY campuses. We are the only university represented today that is not in or near New York City. We are actually 5 hours north of New York City in a more suburban atmosphere. We are still connected to New York City by bus or train systems, but we are more in kind of a natural kind of setting in a very calm environment. We are ranked as one of the top 10 best public best regional universities in the North, and within the top 10 best value schools in the North by US News and World Report of this year. And could you, next slide, please? Sorry, I tried to click, didn't work. Thank you. Just a little information about SUNY Oswego. We offer over 110 exceptional programs in STEM, so science, technology, engineering, mathematics, business, and the arts. We are particularly strong in fields such as computer science, software engineering, information science for our STEM programs. Also biology and biochemistry are huge at our university. We are also known for some of our business programs, particularly in accounting. And as for the arts, within the arts, we consider fields like communication, and we are particularly well known for our broadcasting and mass communication programs. So Oswego is a smaller university. We have 8,000 students in total right now, around 8,000 students either studying on campus or online. And we offer really generous scholarships, especially to undergraduate students. And these are automatically considered when you apply to SUNY Oswego as an undergraduate student. This isn't a separate application process, so it's automatic consideration. We offer some outstanding internships and cooperative programs. Some of our students have recently interned at NASA, Google, IBM, Viacom, Xerox, MTV, ESPN, the list goes on. We have a personalized learning approach. Now, what does that mean? That means that we have smaller class sizes with typically only 24 students in a classroom at a time, which gives you more opportunities for research and more opportunities for a one-on-one connection with your peers and your professors. Finally, we're on a scenic campus. It's very big. It's like 600 acres. Right on Lake Ontario. So our campus has coastline. We are right on the coast of Lake Ontario. It's very scenic. It's very calm and peaceful campus in the middle of New York State.
So that brings us to the conclusion of our presentation. As you can see on the screen here, here are our individual contact information if you want to reach out to us, but we are going to leave it open for some Q&A. I believe there are some questions already that have perhaps been answered.
We have one question in the queue if anyone would like to take a stab at it. It was regarding IB diplomas and if it's considered for merit scholarships and average scores. Now, I know that this might differ amongst your institutions, but if you guys want to take a round at that question.
Sure. So at Stony Brook and probably at most institutions in the US, your IB diploma and grades, in particular your transcripts, are going to be viewed at as part of your high school academic records. And for any student, no matter where they're coming from and whatever kind of curriculum, institutions will kind of do a calculation of a GPA on a US scale, and then use that in their formula for whatever merit-based scholarship is. So your IB diploma at Stony Brook will look at each individual grade, will create a GPA on the 100-point scale, and then use that in our scholarship process. For fall 2021, for merit-based scholarships at Stony Brook, we won't be using test scores for like SAT or ACT, but certainly I'll let anyone else chime in.
Yes, I agree with Stacy. At Manhattan College, all international students, regardless of their curriculum, are being reviewed for merit-based scholarships. However, for the IB students, we waive the English language proficiency requirement, and also students who completed IB courses at the high level with grade 5 or higher will receive college credits for these courses, so they don't have to repeat these courses when they become students at Manhattan College.
And to add on to that, actually, just like the others here, New York Tech does consider IB for merit-based aid, but something I always try to remind students is if you're coming from maybe a different curriculum from your lower level courses, we have to say, your example maybe from India, and you did your standard 10s there, and then maybe switched over to the IB curriculum. Make sure to submit all of your transcripts, just so each admissions officers can take that into consideration when reviewing your application and determining potential merit if you're admitted.
Finally, I just wanted to add one more final note here from Oswego. We do, like many of the universities in the United States, we do offer credit for IB courses depending on certain grades in certain coursework. And this alone, if we're talking about cutting down your time spent studying, doing things like taking an IB kind of track or curriculum within your high school education can really cut down your total cost of education, because many of those courses can then transfer into a university in the United States, and therefore you don't have to take economics again. You don't have to take English literature again. So it'll depend on the certain program and the particular university that you're applying to, but this is a good way to kind of cut down the total amount that you have to spend on your education in the United States. Again, you can ask for a transfer value or an evaluation of your credits at most universities. So if you send in your transcript, and you can ask then what credits or what courses the coursework that you have taken at the secondary level, so in your high school, would count towards at that particular university. And then we have some more questions. I'll let my colleague from Study in New York kind of field those, if you will.
Sure. So there's a couple of questions about transferring that are also folded in with scholarships. So if you guys maybe want to tackle the idea of transfer credit from foreign institutions, but also the possibility for financial aid for transfer students. I guess that might fall into two different buckets, but there we go.
Sorry, I'll let you go, Dimitri.
Okay, I can start. So for transfer students at Manhattan College, yes, we do offer merit-based scholarships, basically same amounts as for freshman undergraduate students. For transfer students, we do not require them to do evaluation of their foreign credentials at another company. The evaluation is done in-house. All they have to do is to submit official transcript from their university or college they attended. And if a transcript is not in English, we also require an English language translation. That's all. And then we do foreign credential evaluations. And based on the GPA, we award scholarship, merit-based scholarships to international transfer students. Thank you.
I also wanted to chime in here. Many universities in the United States have different policies in regards to freshmen versus transfer students and the scholarships that they receive. At Oswego in particular, all of our international students, no matter if they're freshmen, so first year, or transfer students, all are eligible to receive a scholarship that's worth about 52% of the yearly cost of your tuition. Most of our international students who meet our acceptance criteria are awarded this scholarship. Then on top of that, if you did particularly well at the university that you're transferring from, we will consider you for additional scholarships. I believe that this is a similar policy to many of my colleagues would have.
Great. We have just a couple minutes left, so I think we have time for one more question. And how about we have a question regarding athletic scholarships and opportunities at your institutions, or any knowledge you have about those subjects?
When it comes to athletics in the United States, there are scholarships. With NCAA varsity sports, you have three division levels. You have Division I, Division II, and Division III. Division I and II offer athletic scholarships. Unfortunately, Division III does not offer athletic scholarships, but you can still, again, pursue athletics there. With Division I and II, it's going to depend on the institution. There are different levels of scholarship, and a lot of times, obviously you'll go through the process. You'll need to contact the athletic department for the respective sport you're interested in. Contact their coaches. Go through the tryout process, all of that. And if they deem you're good enough, obviously, then you'll apply for the institution. If admitted, you'll be considered for any merit-based aid that the institution may award you if admitted. And then usually after that, the athletic department will try to look at how they can fill the rest of that. So let's say maybe you get at a private institution, you get a $20,000 scholarship in merit-based aid, then the athletic department for that respective sport that you're looking to pursue may look into see what additional scholarship you may be able to be awarded. It's going to depend on the institution. Division I is going to be different from Division II, maybe the amount of athletic scholarship they might give you, but it's important to reach out to the coach of the sport you're interested in and start that process with them, and they'll guide you through what their process is for how much aid they might offer in athletic scholarships.
Great. Thanks very much to our presenters, and thanks to all of our attendees for being here. We are out of time. If you posed a question into the Q&A, we will follow up with you afterwards, so don't worry, we will get back to you. And as I said earlier, this presentation will be recorded and available on YouTube. in the near future. So thanks again, everyone, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, evening, wherever you are in the world. So have a good day.